Hi guys. So today I'll be covering one example that Sir has already covered in class. I'll show you how to form the equation, the objective function, the variables and the constraints. After that, I'll also guide you through TORA and how to input these variables into TORA and find the solution. I know for some people who are using Mac, TORA is not available. So I'll also do it in using a solver in Excel. But I would recommend that you use someone else's laptop, a Windows laptop, and use TORA because it's much more convenient in an quiz or exam scenario. Right. So let's get into it. And firstly, I'll take you through the example. So let me share my entire screen. 1 second. Here. Okay. So let me just go into. Yeah. So this is the question that we have. So the first thing is that TCPL is running an ad campaign. There are three media channels: digital, TV, and print. Now, exposure is basically how many times an ad is shown. So it says that cost per exposure. So every time ad is shown, you have to pay 10 rupees for digital, 100 rupees for TV, and 15 rupees for print. And consequently, for every ad, 80 people are reached through digital, 40 through TV and print, and 25 to print. Your total budget is 10,000. And basically, there are two more questions that you have to solve. Now, in this, the digital TV and print, the number of ads that are shown are the variables. The You change those variables, and consequently, the cost will change and the reach will change. And your total budget of 10,000 is the constraint. Now, the first question that we have is minimize total ad spend. Minimum reach is 15,000, and digital spends cannot exceed 10% of total budget. So here the objective function is the minimize total ad spend. So that is my objective function. I have to minimize the ad spend. How will I get ad spend? The number of ads into the cost per ad. So digital number of digital ads into 10, number of TV ads into 100, number of print ads into 15. And it says that minimum reach should be more than 15,000. So the minimum is 15,000. Digital spends cannot exceed 10% of the total budget. So total budget is 10,000. So your minimum spends in digital should be 1,000. So firstly, define the variables. So the first thing is number of digital exposure is x1, number of TV exposure is x2, and number of print exposure is x3. After that, you form the objective function, which is minimize the ad spend. Now, objective function is basically 10. 10 was the cost per ad. So 10 into x1 plus 100 into x2 plus 15 into x3. I hope that is simple enough. It's just the cost per ad into the number of ads. After that, you input the constraints. So there are three constraints. In fact, the first constraint was given in the question. So here, this total budget of 10,000, that is the first constraint that is there for both the cases. So that is the first constraint, 10,000 budget. Second constraint is the minimum reach of 15,000. So 80 is the reach per ad in digital. So 80 into x1 plus 40 into x2 plus 25 into x3. So it's the reach per ad into different mediums. So 80x1 plus 40x2 and 25x3 should be more than equal to 15,000. This symbol of more than equal to is very important because that will be something that we'll have to input in TORA or solver. And the third and final constraint is that maximum digital spend should not exceed 10% of the total ad spends. So total ad spends is, as I said, 10,000 is the total budget, and 10% of that, so 1,000 should be the digital expenditure. Now, the second question that we have is minimize the reach. So digital spends cannot exceed 5% of total budget. TV spends cannot exceed 40% of the total budget, and print spends cannot exceed 60% of total budget. Obviously, another constraint always there. Total budget is 10,000. Now, the question says that maximize the reach. So our reach is the objective function, which is 80x1 plus 40x2 plus 25x3. Now the constant that we have is 10x1 less than equal to 50,000, 500. So 5% of 10,000 is 500. TV 100x2 less than equal to 4,000. Print 15x3 less than equal to 6,000. Total ad spends is 10x1 plus 100x2 plus 15x3 less than equal to 10,000. Okay, so these are my four constraints in this question. Now I'll quickly head over to TORA and show you how to input these things in TORA. It's very simple. Uh, Hopefully everyone has downloaded TORA. Otherwise, you can just go into Google and search TORA download and download TORA. Okay. Um, So I'll go into TORA here, right? Click here. So here we'll do a linear programming because this is an LP based question. So linear programming. Enter new problem file. Go to input screen. Don't worry about the number of N and D. Okay. Problem title, let's say TCPL digital, let's say whatever. Now number of variables. So number of variables in the question is 1, 2, 3. So these are three variables, and number of constraints here for the first question is 1, 2, and the third one was the total budget. So three constraints and three variables. So three variables, three constraints, and press tab. So this will become like this. Now your X1, so you can name this as digital TV print. Simple. Now, what is your objective function? Objective function, minimize ad spend. Now, minimize ad spend, this is a minimize function. So you click here, so it's a minimize. Minimize, so 10x1, 100x2, 15x3. So over here, you put 10, 100, and 15. Now, constraints is 15,000 should be the reach. So 80x1 plus 40x2 plus 25x3 greater than equal to 15,000. So here I'll put 80x1, 40x2, and 25x3 is greater than equal to 15,000. Okay. Next one is 10x1 less than equal to 1000. So here what I'll do is 10. See, 10x1 is the column. So 10x1, rest I'll keep 0, and less than equal to 1000. Okay. If there is not, if x2 and x3 are not there in the equation, you put it as 0. And finally your entire budget. So you can, for the budget equation, it's 10x1, 100x2, and 15x3. So it's 10, 100, and 15 should be less than equal to 10,000. Now lower bound, upper bound, this is fine, it's 0. So if there is some constraint that okay, minimum should be greater than this or something, it's fine. Here the variables will be non-integer, so nothing to be done here. Just click on solve. You can choose to save or not save. Click on no. Now solve problem, algebraic, final solution. Now decimal notification, go to output screen. So you can see here the solution that we got is 100 digital ads, 0 TV ads, and 280 print ads. This will give me a contribution. See, the objective was to minimize the cost. The cost is 5200. Okay. So this is how you basically solve this in TORA. Now let's do the second question. Go back to modify input data. Now in the second question that we have again three variables, x1, x2, x3, and we have four constraints. So here what we'll do is three variables, four constraints. Again, x1 is digital, second is TV, third one is print. What do we have to do this time? It's maximize the reach. So maximize 80, 40, 25. So here it's maximize 80, 40, 25. Constraint, the first constraint is 10x1 less than equal to 500. So here 10 in x1, 0, 0 less than equal to 500. Next is x2. So 100 x2 less than equal to 4000. So 100 over here. So I'll click here. 100 x2 4000. And the third question is 15x3 less than equal to 6000. 15x3 less than equal to 6000. And the fourth one is the total. So it's 10x1, 100x2, and 15x3. So here you come here and write 10x1, 100x2, and 15x3 less than equal to 10,000. Okay. Again, upper bound, lower bound, and this is not applicable over here. You can click on solve menu. no need to save the data. Okay, solve problem, algebraic, final solution. So here you see that you go to the output screen and you'll see that for this question the output is 550 digital ads, 35 TV ads and 400 print ads. This will give you a maximum reach of 15,400. So you had a minimum reach of 15,000 that was required. Here you're getting a 15,400, which is qualifying that, and your spends is not exceeding the given constraints. Okay, so this is how you find the solutions in TORA. Now for those that don't have TORA, I'll also solve these in solver again, but I will give you a warning that solver, you have to make this entire thing and you have to put in the functions and everything, so it's more complicated. If you well versed with solver, you can go ahead and do that. If not, then I would suggest that you take someone else's laptop and install TORA in that. Okay, so for solver, what you do is, so these are, it's again the same thing. You have variables. This is the cost and reach function that was given, and you have two functions. One is the spend, total spends, and total reach. Um, the first question asks me to maximize, so sorry, minimize the ad spend. My what is my ad spends equation? One second, I just hold on. Yeah. So these are the channels, and so let's say if you have, I'm putting a hypothetical example. So it's like 5 digital ads, 5 TV ads, and 5 print ads. The cost would be 5 multiplied by 10, 5 multiplied by 100, and 5 multiplied by 15. So this will be your cost, and this will be your reach: 5 into 80, 5 into 40, and 5 into 25. Now, to calculate the objective function of spends, what you can do is use this function sum product. So you can do equal to sum product and then select all these and then comma, and then for the spends you can select cost, press enter, and for the reach you can also use some product. So some product, take all these variables, comma, and all the reach, and then press enter. So this is your spends. So for now I will just delete this because solver will give me the answers. Okay, the constraints that I have in this question is to make sure that your minimum reach is 15,000, digital spends less than 1,000, and total spends is less than 10,000. And uh, for the second question we have that the maximum, we have to maximize reach, but ensure that the digital TV and print spends is less than 500, 400, 4,000, 6,000 respectively, and the total spends is less than 10,000. One second. Yeah, so as I was saying, for the second question we have digital spends. So you have to maximize reach, which is this function, and make sure that these constraints are met. So for this, what you have to do is go to data, then solver. So you have to firstly enable this. So for to enable solver, you have to go into more options, um, add-ins, and then solver add-in, and click on OK. First, you have to download solver add-in and then click on this. So I guess you can just Google it and see how to do that. So I'll not get into that. Once you have downloaded solver, you go into solver. So let's solve the first question. The first question is to minimize ad spend. Now my ad spends will be this variable. So this is some product of the variables and to cost. So set objective this and minimize. Then by changing variable cells, so my variable cells are these. Add. So my first constraint is reach. So this reach should be greater than equal to, sorry, greater than equal to 15,000. Click on add. My second, this is digital, should be less than equal to 10,000, less than 10,000, and for total spends should be less than equal to 10,000. Add. Click on cancel. So I have three constraints over here. This is my variable cells, and this is my objective function. Now click on simplex LP. Make sure make constant variables non-negative. Click on this and click on solve. Now automatically solver will solve this question and see, similar to what we got on TORA. 100 is the digital number ads, 280 is the print ads, and the spends is similar to TORA is 5200. So this is my first question. Now I'll do the second question, which is to maximize the reach. So yeah, so here it says that maximize the reach. Maximize reach, my reach function is this one. So now I'll click on set objective to reach function. So this is C15. Click on maximize. By changing variable cells, this the variable cells will remain the same. The constraints will change. So I'll delete these constraints. Delete, um, delete, and delete. Now again, once you're adding, if the direction, if it's less, all the four constraints are the same, that's, let's say it's less than equal to or greater than equal to, you can just choose all the left hand side less than equal to constraints and choose the right hand side, and then click on OK. So in one constraint, you're capturing everything. Again, make non-negative and click on simplex LP and solve. Now, similar to TORA, you can see that my reach has become 15,400 with 50, 35, and 400. So this is how do you solve this question using TORA or solver. I would again recommend you to use TORA because it's much easier. I hope you can solve the rest of the questions. I chose a simpler question because it will be easier for me to explain. Thank you, and best of luck for the quiz.